Today we're going to look at primary source test question strategies. When a student's working with primary source documents, it's important to consider a couple questions. What kind of document is it? Who's the author? When and where was it created? For whom was it written or created? And what bias might be present? These things are important to understanding the entirety of what the author's point of view was and why the document was created. We're going to look at a practice test question that students might see on tests or quizzes in their social studies classroom. These tests are given in order to help teachers understand if their students are understanding material, can they apply what they learned, and it also measures their reading comprehension skills, which is important for social studies. The first thing a student will need to do when presented with a primary source document on a test or quiz is to read the background information and author information. So you're going to look to gain some context behind what you might be reading about. For instance, when I read that this is by Ferdinand de Soto, there's a chance I might recall that's an explorer, but even if not, I see the title is Discovery of the Mississippi, 1541, and so that tells me it's the age of exploration. So at least I have some idea of what I might be reading about in the passage. The next step is to look at the question. The student should read the question and underline any key terms or phrases. So in this question, it says, according to this passage, how did Spanish leaders in Latin America misuse the encomienda system? So keywords would be Spanish leaders, their misuse of the encomienda system. And so those are three terms that I've underlined as important or key to answering the question. After that, the student should refer back to the passage. As the student reads, they should highlight any parts of the passage that discuss the key words from the question. Sometimes the passage may use synonyms, so it's important that they highlight words that they believe mean the same thing in that passage as well. So I look for terms that talk about the Spanish. I'll look for terms that talk about the encomienda system, and I'll also highlight the portions of the sentence that tell me what those things are if that applies. Or maybe I'll highlight the sentence that discusses some of those important terms. Here you notice I've highlighted the Spanish, the encomienda system, and then also what the encomienda system was and what it really ended up looking like for the natives. So the encomienda system was a system that granted Spaniards an allotment of Indians who were to be protected and Christianized. So that's what the system was. However, the natives became forced laborers who worked the land, labored in mines, and constructed public buildings. So, again, I'm looking for what was the misuse. The next step is for students to try to answer the question on their own. I encourage them to jot it down, and then what they'll do is they'll compare what they've written to the answer choices to see if any responses match what their answer choices list. If students are having difficulty finding one that really fits with what they jotted down, they can also eliminate answer choices. So I might assume that the encomienda system, based on what I had highlighted, was misused because Spaniards were supposed to use their allotment of Indians to protect and Christianize them. However, the natives were forced laborers who worked the land, they labored in mines, and constructed public buildings. So they weren't doing with the natives what they were supposed to. So I could already eliminate that missionaries attempt to build Christian institutions for the natives because there's no discussion of building Christian institutions with them. And then I can also eliminate natives were introduced to the practice of democracy because, of course, if I know that they were forcing Indians to labor, work the land, work in mines, that's not a practice of democracy, so it doesn't fit. That narrows my chances to 50-50 at the very least, and I would choose the answer that makes the most sense according to what I highlighted in the text. And so in this case, land was taken from the inhabitants and natives were enslaved. And you can see that in that last sentence there. The natives became forced laborers who worked the land, labored in mines, and constructed public buildings. You can reuse this strategy on any primary source excerpt that you come across on a test or quiz, and it should increase your chances of being successful in answering these questions.